And we are live on YouTube. Hello, amazing people. I am Tyler Ellison, and I am joined by one of my fantastic friends and fellow co-creators, Starshine. You know her from the Sani universe. You know her from all of her amazing workings with so many different people. Starshine, how's it going? It's a pleasure to be doing this with you today.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back. Hi, Tyler. How are you today?
I'm doing good. I'm doing very good. I'm absolutely thrilled because we've been busy creating all types of stuff in the background, right? Having late night phone calls, sculpting things, making things, and now we're ready to unveil that which we have created for all of you because we have been really looking to push the envelope with the channel. We recognize that channeling is very informational. It's a lot of talking, and that's very good. We are in an age of doing and being simultaneously. The knowledge helps us orient our beingness and our doingness. So it's important. We are taking things to another level where secret occult tools, secret Sasani teachings, and secret truths will be unveiled in many of the transmissions that we offer. This month on the 20th, you can mark your calendars, Starshine and myself and Rioka will be doing a transmission called the Eyes of Realization. And this is a transmission on the nature of spiritual discernment, being able to read energy, how to sense energy with your mind, how to sense energy with your hands, how to actually work with energy. So it is training in understanding the qualities of energy, but the practical application of this is if you can feel all these different energies, fire, air, water, earth, wind, so on and so forth, when you're with another person or you're listening to another person, you can hear, you can feel, you can sense what is beneath the surface. And you can also do this for future events. You can do this for your past if there's something that's vague that you need more clarity upon. So that's going to be this Sunday. I have to double check that. Before I give that to you, let me just make sure I got it right. I'm pretty sure I did. Oh, it is this Saturday. I'm glad I checked. Thank gosh. I'm doing so many events, everybody. I have to have 3 calendars open these days. But this is going to be October 19th, 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, the Eyes of Realization. There's going to be, with Starshine and myself, these cutting-edge Rioka Sasani channeling events each month. This is the first one. In addition to these special Sasani channeling events, we are also going to be offering special Sasani and hybrid training. And what this is very amazing. It is something that is designed to assist everyone who comes in a myriad of real life ways. You can take what you learn in these trainings and immediately bring them into your world, immediately create real life change. This is not just information from Rioka. This is all going to be information from myself. Starshine will be sharing as well. We have all 3 of us creating in our own way, in different ways. And each of these special trainings is going to focus on a different dimension of human life. We have 3 trainings up right now, one for October, one for November, one for December. They are standalone trainings. You could take any of them. You can also work with all of them. And that's how they're designed. We designed them to be a progressive training. Our first training that is going to be this month, and I'm going to just make sure I have the date right. It's, to my knowledge, the following date, near the end of the month, on the date of October 27th. This is going to be 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and this is called your Eternal Calling. And this training is all about legitimate techniques you can use to craft your divine purpose. A lot of people say, why am I here? Right? Like, what am I to do? And we get a lot of really great answers, right? You're here to follow your joy. You are here to give and receive love, right? And we're like, yeah, that's great. Yet that's sort of everybody's purpose, right? It doesn't really emphasize the uniqueness of the individual. So a lot of people, they give, they receive love, and they're having fun, they're having a good time, but they can feel there's almost something deeper in them that's asking for them to give more, to give something special. And if you have felt that calling, if you have felt that there is something here you're meant to do and you are passionate about discovering what that is, we are going to show you how to do that. I'm going to show you so many tools that help me craft my purpose. And as you can see, I am still writing that, right? That is how I do what I do. In case you guys wonder, I've created a purpose for myself that can't die. It's also a purpose I don't know if I could ever realistically complete. I'd have to do it forever. So as you can see, right, when you have an eternal purpose, it keeps going and going and going and going and going. Where a short-term purpose, you might complete that. You might complete that goal, right? And then what? You can make new ones, right? But you'll find it's going to be smaller rewards with the purpose that is finite, greater rewards with the purpose that is of the infinite mind. So we're going to be showing you how to create these very powerful purposes. And once you have them, it really helps you focus, it helps you orient your life, and it helps you see the higher opportunities that are actually all around you at all times. So if these sound like amazing opportunities for you, please check out the galacticguide.com. Go to either Sani special events or our special training to look at these offerings. And this is going to be a pretty regular thing. We're really experimenting right now in the best way because these are all things I have taught people. These are things I have taught myself. And now I'm here to deliver them to you wonderful folks of the internet. You know, it's one thing to teach people, it's one thing to teach people that you're close to, but to teach so many people these wonderful skills at the same time in this shared virtual space. It's an amazing experience, and that for me is a unique one. So I look forward to seeing a lot of you there, and I know that we're going to have a great time because life is objectively a great time when you move the things out of the way that make it feel otherwise. You know, it's very true. You give the body what it needs, the mind what it needs, the heart what it needs, the environment what it needs. It's a great time. Objectively a great time, you know. So that's what we're moving things towards once more, everybody. We're bringing good times back. So that's what we want for you. That's what I want for myself, my family, the people I love. So we look forward to seeing you there. In terms of what we're doing today, I know we're going to be doing something you all really love. We're going to be doing some trance channeling. I'm going to be bringing Rioka, my Sasanian guide, through. Starshine's going to be looking at your amazing questions. You can type them in the YouTube chat box. She's going to be looking for the questions that are the most stimulating, that are the most interesting, that also don't have to do with somebody's personal things. This is a public forum, and in public forums, it's not always the time or place to ask about what your grandma has to say from the other side to you. That's a private session question. I do answer those. But again, it's a lot easier if you, the questioner, are in front of me through the camera and I'm hearing your voice because it's so much nuance, right? The voice, the body, it communicates, right? And when Starshine's reading that kind of question, I don't get any of your subtle communications, and it's now being communicated through Starshine. So as you can see, right, it gets diluted the further removed you, the questioner, are. Therefore, we like to keep questions a little more collectively focused because we don't have to read somebody's personal aura. We kind of read the collective, but don't shy away from your personal interests and curiosities. So if I had to simplify it, for deep personal karmic things that you have questions about, private sessions, that's the key. For everything else, feel free to ask it here. And my friends, thank you for your support because you supporting me helps me do what I do. I would be little to nothing without all of you. The only reason I'm ascending to this level is because of what we have built together. So you have my eternal gratitude, my eternal respect. Thank you for making my life magic, and I'm here to help return that favor. So let's rise. Metaphorically speaking, you can stay seated, please. So I'll dive into the state. Starshine can ask questions, and I'll see you when we're finished. Yo. 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 Oh. 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 Well, we thank you for joining us for this creative and ecstatic exchange that we share with one another this day of your times. We thank you for your participation. We thank you for your attention because, as you know, that which you focus upon also focuses upon you. So when you energize us in this way, keep in mind we also energize you. The synchronicities of my people, the synchronicities of my world begin to enter into your lives. Before we get started with any questions, we wish to share with you something you can utilize. Keep in mind, my name is, of course, a costume. It is not actually my name. Keep in mind, on the higher levels, as many of you know, we are able to identify one another through signature frequency itself. The term, the name RYOKAH is an earth-based translation of that signature frequency. So we wish to share that with you. It's not necessarily a name, and it is of your earth. Keep in mind, Reo is a reference to the idea of the being that many of you know to be Ra from Egypt. Many of you have heard of some of his more recent workings. When we say he, of course, this is a collective type of intelligence. The Ka, of course, represents the astral body elevated to its highest form, which allows for an individual to experience an unbroken continuity of consciousness across the linear experience of incarnation or ascension. It depends on how they wish to focus. But when the Ka body is fully energized with the golden frequencies of the sun, in other words, your heart center, when this occurs, it allows for the intelligence of the heart and the power that the heart contains to reach their highest level of purity and refinement. They become more like the upper worlds, these parts of you, than the earth worlds. And as a result, you become a being whom is in the world, yet is not of the world. So, Rioka, Ryoka, this is a key that you can use in different ways to activate your personal connection to this dimension of your energy body. And it also allows for you to begin to experience the telepathic collective that I am a part of. Me and other Sasanian beings are a part of this collective, but other beings from many locations and civilizations within the cosmos are also a part of this network that is the network of Rioka. So when I speak as a Sasanian being, I am speaking as a representative of this collective consciousness that we have come to describe to all of you as Rioka. So I am both one and many. In that way, Ararita is another word that can activate the level of consciousness within you that I am describing. of being one and of being many. Because I remind all of you while you walk around thinking you are one being, I remind you that is an illusion. As a spirit, you contain within you many souls. When these souls, through the guidance of your spirit, come to earth, they assemble together in very powerful ways that produce the experience that you call yourself. What you call death is the dispersion of those elements. The ego, the persona that was built upon them, then begins to unravel as those souls begin to disentangle with one another. They begin to disentangle from their ego personality form so they can reunify within the matrix of the higher soul, or what you might call spirit. So, in other words, the many souls that you are like bubbles, many bubbles within a big bubble. The big bubble is your higher soul or your spirit. When you take on a body, all of those souls within that bubble, they represent different elemental dimensions of you. Through incarnation, they all blend together into a persona. And at the end of the lifetime, that persona is unraveled, and all of those different elemental souls, if you will, are then reintegrated back into the spirit. And you call that your life review. So we are sharing some of these things with you because you too, our dear friends and family, are in fact a collective having the experience of being an individual. And as you begin to experience yourself as a collective being rather than an individual being, you will start to become more aware of all the different dimensions of your mind. Your mind will become inherently more fascinating because you will recognize thoughts and feelings are collective. Yes, you have your own personal thoughts, you have your own personal feelings, yet your thoughts and your feelings are usually incredibly similar to those of other humans, unless you're walking a very special path. Because remember, your thoughts and your feelings are influenced by what you expose yourself to. So if you are a person of the world, well, your inner world will reflect worldly things. If you are a person seeking evolution through spiritual dimensions, well, that will be what feeds you. So it's a different focus, it's different thoughts, it's different feelings. So if you want to be like the world, do what the world does. If you want to be like your higher self, practice the metaphysical arts that your higher self is very well versed in. Remember, you don't just eat with your mouth. You do it with your eyes. You do it with your nose. You do it with your nerve endings. You do it with your ears. You are always taking in information. Do the sound waves not enter into your physical body through the ears? Do the chemicals that make up the fragrances not enter in to the fragrance receptors? You must keep in mind, you are right now taking us in as we are taking you in. And in that way, it is an undeniable co-creation. And we thank you for designing such higher versions of us that we get to express as through this conduit. And we thank all of you for creating higher versions of yourself for us to interact with. And now we make ourselves available to you for your questions. You may begin at your leisure.
Thank you, friend. Well,
You're
let's get
welcome.
started then. The first question is synchronous to what you were just saying. What is the purpose of sound and music?
Well, there's a lot of different purposes. Different people will have different purposes. So for some people, it's healing. For some people, it's entertainment. For some people, it's levitating stones to build giant pyramids. It's really up to the musician. To the highest beings, music is something they can't help to create. It's what they are. So you can think of music as one of the primordial forms of expression. And it is music that manifested art, visual art specifically, from the higher energetic perspective. These subtle vibrations were initially created through primordial energies that have always existed. the interaction of these primordial energies reached a sweet spot of building where certain energy matrices were able to be created. The energy matrix is a geometry, but before that geometry was formed, there was a frequency. The frequency, the sound, and the image, they are entangled. Imagery and sound are entangled. Everything you see around you, this means you're also hearing it. But you're not hearing it with your ears because it vibrates. If it has a form, it has a vibration. If it has a vibration, that means it can become a sound to a being whom is capable of hearing it. So, in terms of what is more primordial, sound is more primordial. In terms of what was evolved later, sight. So music represents a part of the mind that is more primordial. That is why it is so universally captivating, because you evolved through sound before you evolved through vision. Vision comes later. So have fun playing with that and have fun playing with the primordial tools of existence.
Thank you. Up next, in the future timelines where copyright laws are abolished, what did the humans realize? Why did they come to understand that made that happen?
Well, in one alternate timeline where copyright laws are abolished, it has to do with a telepathic network being established on the planet. And there's a few versions of this. One is through technology, one is through your spiritual awakening. But essentially, a telepathic network is nevertheless introduced, and it turns into everyone knowing everyone's things. No secrets. So, intellectual property becomes sort of a funny game, because what you realize is this idea you're having that seems like yours, many other people are also having a similar idea simultaneously all around the planet. This is the case whenever you get ideas. Someone else will be receiving it too. The copyright is to protect the person whom is motivated and acts upon the idea, whom takes it and runs with it. But of course, at that level of consciousness, when you can see that it's actually a shared idea, and it's really the idea, not the physical manifestation, that is truly of higher substance, it tends to diminish the significance of copyright laws. So that's one of the reasons that that happens. Again, copyright laws can be useful. It can protect property. Ownership is useful. Do you not feel you own your body? And does that not serve you? Imagine if you did not feel ownership of your body. Your whole psychology would be different. Your body would also become collective if you did not have personal ownership of it. And many of you, of course, and rightfully so, do not feel comfortable making your body a collective experience. It's a personal experience to you. So copyright, personal property, personal wealth, these things are fine. It's what you do with them. Don't see them as objectively harmful. Because as you know, if you get good in those areas, you will be powerful, more capable. So do not fantasize about a world without them. Instead, fantasize what you can do with all of these tools right here, right now, and your fantasy will come to life. We say this because we know there's many people that hear this and they're waiting for money to be abolished. They're waiting for borders to be abolished. They're waiting for the militaries to be abolished. Carrot on the stick. The aliens will come and these things will change. Remember, we don't come until you change. You must change, then we come. You must change your hearts. And what does this mean? You can have a yin or yang manifestation of something. There's a neutral manifestation too, but that one's usually short-lived unless you are very focused. Your heart can be more yin. Instead of emitting light, it can be like a black hole. It takes in light. This is when a person feels empty. There's a void within them. They're unhappy. Many people on your planet are like this. They have a yin heart. We are saying change your heart. Turn it from yin to yang. Turn the light back on. The light turning back on is not just feeling good and loving people. That's a big part of it. But turning the light back on means being able to see in the dark, all of the things you were ignorant of, including your capabilities, your opportunities, and your tools. When you turn the light on, you see what's around you, and now you turn into really a master craftsman or craftswoman. So let your dreams of the future inspire your actions in the now. That is our suggestion for all of you.
Thank you.
You're
Up
welcome.
next, compared to sunny places on Earth, are there spiritual and health benefits to living in cold, limited sunlight places?
Absolutely. Yes. Yes. Keep in mind that while there can be certain deficiencies in the photons and in certain nutrients from colder environments, there are very potent adaptive benefits that can come if a person works with the cold regularly, just as a person in a sunny area would work with the sun regularly. If a person who is in a sunny area, they're not exposing themselves to the sun all the time, that would damage them. But they will spend a good amount of time optimizing their exposure to the sun. And then they maybe go into their homes, or they perhaps change from the bathing suit into something more covered. But nevertheless, they have a routine and a structure to be able to maximize the benefit they get from the sun. For people in colder climates, the same thing ought to be done. Expose yourself to the cold. You have heard of the individual on your planet, Wim Hof? Practice something like this if you wish to experience true adaptogenic benefits from cold. That is how you maximize. If you blend cold and heat, for example, ice bath and then sauna, multiple benefits are achieved. So in many Scandinavian countries where there is sometimes more cold, less sun, these types of things are regularly done. And it produces remarkable health benefits that can absolutely offset the deficiencies that would otherwise be created from the sunlight. But remember, if you're really exposing yourself to the cold and you are doing deep breathing exercises that cause the body to relax and not tremble, if the body's calm and you are in the cold, you will absorb all sunlight very easily that you need. So these types of things can be done. Be safe, of course, for some people with heart issues, high blood pressure. Some of these things like cold heat therapy can be problematic, so you must be responsible. People have hurt themselves doing this. So this is a message for the healthy and for those whom are regularly working with whomever their medical guide is for successful, you could say, healthful practices. So be responsible with these things, but that's how you can optimize cold. And it is a true force to optimize. Yes, and it will make you strong. Because if you can handle cold, you can handle cold people. If you can handle cold, you can hold and handle the cold belief system you've been holding on to for so long, and you can put it down. If you can handle cold, many things will no longer bother you. Because cold is yin. So if you can be powerful in a tremendously yin environment, when other yin things show up, shadow things, when they show up, they won't make you flinch. They won't make you move. You will choose how you move.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Up next, will there be a revelation of beings below the pyramids to all of humanity along with contacts?
Well, it depends on how things go. There will be things found beneath the pyramid. Beings is a possibility, but what is a probability is technology. Beings, maybe. It sort of depends on who is the one whom discovers those subterranean chambers. Remember, their vibration will determine if beings whom are responsible for that technology will show up. If they are a significant enough of a vibrational match, those beings may be there. If the person whom discovers these chambers is not a vibrational match for them, the beings may be there, but may retreat to a more non-physical perspective. So it really depends on the nature of the finder, but there is a possibility of beings being discovered and a probability of technology being discovered. Now, in terms of revelation and this being shared, if this is discovered, it will likely be kept quiet at first and will be slowly hinted at over time. Because what they will find there is going to connect to technologies that are currently observed in your skies. So once it is discovered, people are going to have to make special phone calls to other people to figure out what to do with what they've discovered. They will also have to ask themselves the question, do I tell them what I've discovered? So there's much nuance in what can unfold here, but we're letting you know what the storyline is. This is what it looks like. There's more nuance than what we've said here, but this is a very clear picture of what we are seeing. But there are many people whom are aware of what we have said, and they are working around the clock to be the one whom gets that privilege to go beneath. There are many teams that want to go beneath. Some are just interested, and some are driven. So, in terms of these revelations, if they were to happen, it will likely be within about 3 to 5 of your years. Again, we know that many of these things to some of you may sound like they're taking a while, all of these revelations, but you must remember there is a timeline my civilization has laid out. And for many of the deep revelations that you're all seeking, for many of them, one of the unveiling dates is your year of 2027. So we know these things seem perhaps far away at times, but there are dates of unveiling emerging. In your own reality, if you use your energy to remove your own veils and the veils of the collective, you can fast forward that, and you can have many of these collective revelations much sooner. If you do that, of course, it's more responsibility because everything will speed up and you'll have to be more adaptive to the changes. Nevertheless, this can be done. Generally speaking, for those who are going with the flow, they're working on themselves. They're not necessarily ripping the veil away. They're simply putting their best foot forward and striving for their best life and best relationship. For these people, 2027 is likely in your timeline when many of these revelations will be made. But we're saying for many of you, that can come sooner. It depends really on what you do with those veils, because they're just energy. You can manipulate that energy however you see fit, if you know how to.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Up next, you mentioned that the original humanity consciousness materialized in Cygnus. What was the original purpose of this collective spirit? Why didn't it choose an uninhabited planet?
Well, there's sort of a few ideas being blended together here. So let's separate this. The humans that came to Cygnus, if you were to see them, your closest description would be angels, classical angels. They are the human spirit itself in its spiritual form. So when they dwelled in the stars of Cygnus, it was them, it was theirs. Cygnus called them. They were experimenting. They had ascended from their universe, and many universes opened up to them. They didn't say yes to all of them. They said one was proper for them. They could feel that. The inner migratory pattern within them drew them to Cygnus. That was their doorway from their old universe into this one. They are not the native, you could say, primary species of this universe. They were for the previous one. That's why many of you still feel you're the center stage, because you were. Now the center stage, as you can tell, is life itself. The human being a steward of life itself. So, from Cygnus, these forms of human consciousness in their spiritualized state began to densify, and they began to interact with the Lyran system, the Vegan system within that, creating planets. And there were other forms of life on the planets, but nothing quite like them. And you must keep in mind, when they descended to these planets, they were spiritual beings tending to the natural forms of life. on those worlds. And through their tending, through their service, they began to become a little more physical. They entangled with this. And of course, as you can see, humanity was emphasizing this role of stewardship. We are new guests to this universe. Let us take care of it. That was their initial approach. And of course, this is a universe of extreme diversity, light and dark. So, a human being here with that desire to care for things, to uplift things, to tend to things, means its opposite must also be true. And that opposite polarity was drawn to them. And these were the beginnings of the conflicts that originally escalated into the Orion War. So we got into that during the transmission Cosmic Renegade. You may refer to this if you'd like for more of that story, but it's comprehensive. So to say all of it here would take up a great deal of time, but that's really how this all happened. In terms of humanity becoming this rough and tough species, they had to adapt to a force they had no knowledge of. They weren't used to warfare. It was brought to them. That's where you get that from. And again, when we say humanity here, we are referring to a level of your people that you would call Anunnaki. You must remember, humanity is Anunnaki. You are simply hybrid Anunnaki, but you are still Anunnaki nevertheless. Just as you are now, what you call Sirian and Pleiadian and Gray through all of the hybridization. Anunnaki. All Anunnaki hybrids. All of the ones that you call humanoid, most of them are the descendants of Anunnaki, hybridized. So, you're all Anunnaki. As much as you are humans.
Thank you.
You're very welcome.
Up next, what's your definition of consciousness, astral body, and etheric body?
Well, we'll talk about it from densest to least dense. Etheric has the greatest density. It's the most physical of the energy levels. Astral, less dense. Consciousness, it's even less dense. But remember, consciousness is not the final level. In order to be conscious of something, you need awareness. Awareness is like the radar that you send out. It will ping something, and now you're conscious of it. So consciousness is not the highest level. It is not the most primordial. It too was created. So the etheric body helps to organize the physical health of your system. It helps your hormones communicate. It helps your neurons to fire. It helps keep your immune system functioning. It really contains many of the programs that are meant to nourish and evolve the physical body. Now, if you are working with the next level, the astral body, which is more spiritual, it's more connected to the dream world, then your etheric body, which organizes your physical body, becomes more like the astral body. In other words, the spiritual dimensions of the one living dream become the organizing principle for your biology when the astral body is empowered. When the body of consciousness is empowered, you are aware of all of those levels: consciousness, astral, and etheric, and physical all at once. When the body of consciousness is fully awakened, it is like you notice everything, but you're unmoved. Again, you choose how to move. Once the awareness body is active, there will be no secrets kept from you. You will know whatever you want. Whatever you want. It's a lot of power and responsibility, but the awareness body is active. All you have to do is focus on your question and send that energy in that direction and ping it and see what comes back. The challenge, of course, is to make sure you don't become biased in your receptions of the answers, flavoring it, things like this. But if you simply remain open and you do that, once the awareness body is awakened, whatever you like to know will also know you. But that's one of the final levels. But again, it is not the highest. We will save the highest for a special transmission. But work with those. This is many levels of body we have shared.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Up
We'll
next.
take one more question. We can make this our final one for this afternoon.
Okay. What is your perspective on humbleness?
Well, it helps people from building a tower that's so big and unbalanced that it leans too far as it ascends and collapses. A person who is not humble may have a very large ego. They may be very self-righteous. They may be narcissistic. Remember, you all have a little bit of that. All of you, to some degree. A little bit of it's healthy. But too much of it as the dominant trait in the personality, of course, you would say that's a toxic personality trait. But when a person's not humble and they think they're hot stuff all the time and they hold that over people, they put others down with that, then it's like they're building this tower that leans too far to the left or it leans too far to the right. And eventually it ascends in this deviant direction and it falls over. When you are humble, you recognize that you are only successful because of the infinite forces that make you up working together. How much of this is outside of your conscious control? Can you consciously right now cause an eclipse to happen? Most of you will say no to this. Those that you whom say yes, all right, let's see. So, as you know, there are certain forces you would say are outside of your control, for you cannot snap your fingers and now there's a solar eclipse. A force outside of your control doesn't. For all of you that think you're hot stuff, that should put you back in your center position quite nicely. Yes. Try to make the sun set right now. The sun will set when it wants to set, won't it? So as you can see, there's many forces that work together. Yes, they're all a part of you. We didn't say they're separate from you. Yes, they're a part of you. Yet, you would say they are outside of your conscious mind's control. And humility is a natural byproduct of that recognition. And if there's resistance to that, it means humility will be your strength one day. So focus on it. We thank you for these wonderful questions. We want you to know that every time you ask such questions to us, for all of you, we're speaking to each question. You expand our minds. You expand our hearts. We become one with the information we retrieve for you. We do not keep this stored in our brain. It's a network that you may refer to as Rioka. And of course, you may use myself, the Sani and representative, as that symbol for the name. And as I have said, if you use this, you will become more like me. You will become more like you. We will become more like the sun together. Our unconditional love to you always. Enjoy your dance to the eternal song of the ever-present moment.
Welcome back.
Yeah, thank you. Good to be back. Really good to be back. Yeah, what a wonderful time. How is that for you, Starshine? Do you have a good time?
That was great. Yeah, great questions, great energy. Loved it. Very good.
Amazing. We thank you all so much. I really liked it. I think we got into some great topics. I can't remember all of it. You know, I feel like a little, like some of it's there, but it's a lot of, it fades quick when I open my eyes. So my friends, we look forward to seeing you this Saturday. We look forward to seeing you Sunday, the 27th for these deep trainings, how to read and feel energy with the eyes of realization and how to craft and connect to your self-made higher purpose on the 27th. So if you want a sneak peek at the future events, you can check out our website. November is all about how to accumulate more wealth, more abundance, how to start a business, how to work with money from the Sani perspective, from the me perspective, from the star perspective. And when we get into December, we are going to be talking about communication skills, how to be a communicator, how to get your message heard, how to get your voice out there, and how to really have amazing conversations with any person you encounter. Because I know a lot of spiritual people, they don't feel seen, they don't feel heard. I'm going to assist you with that because I've also felt that way and I've had to overcome that. And I'm here to tell you there is a cheat code and I'm here to share it with you all. So I look forward to seeing you guys at these trainings and my love goes out to you always. So thank you for being